March 18, 2015 to order at 7:07 p.m. We are sorry we were 7 minutes late. We had an executive session in which we discussed some personnel issues and some litigation, some grievances, and now we're here. We didn't take any action, but we had to discuss these things. So without any further announcement regarding that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bryson, would you lead us today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, Dan.
You may.
Mayor's recuperating well from the hip surgery, replacement surgery. I saw him Sunday. He was going to rehab, doing remarkably well from what he was on Thursday, from what I hear. And I expect a full recovery within a couple of weeks. He looks really good, really good.
He's getting ornery again, so he's doing well.
He's still eating.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would you take the roll, please?
President Lloyd,
Here.
Councilman Ingram,
Here.
Councilman Ballard,
Yeah.
Councilman Shields,
Here.
Councilman Bonadille, Councilman Saul,
Here.
and Councilman Brennan.
Here. Okay, we have 3 people listed to address council. Again, try to limit yourself to 3 minutes. Avoid references to personalities and personnel-related issues. Come to the podium and state your name and address. Agnes Boyko. She's here to speak on the garbage ordinance. Okay, well, then how about Nancy Cap? Nancy in the audience.
Yeah.
I'm Nancy Capp, address is 294 Walnut Street, Munhall, which is in the Munhall Garden section. I don't know if you remember me, I was here in November, and I had brought up the issue of not being able to get into the building. I realized after getting here today that I still can't get into the building unless I have to push 911, which I do feel is really a blatant misuse of 911. That door, I think there should be some sort of handicap button so the door would open and you could get in. And one of the other doors, and there, my joystick is on my right hand. I can't operate my joystick and get the door. Same thing when we get in the foyer, I can't operate the joystick and utilize the door. But it still hasn't been corrected. Now, I did try to get into the ladies' room up here, and there are so many chairs that are there, I can't turn my wheelchair to even get into the bathroom to attempt to utilize the bathroom. So again, things like that still have not been corrected.
Excuse me, is there a back feed or something? I can't really
Get
hear.
static in the
Set
speaker.
speaker.
Can you hit that, Dave? There it goes.
Thank you, I'm sorry, knocking.
Okay, I don't want you to miss a thing.
I don't want to either.
So I do think, I wanted to know, I've been told in the November meeting that this would be looked into. Now, the only person that had at least the courtesy to come and speak to me was Bernie Shields, and he asked me a few questions after the meeting. I have not heard from anyone since then, and I have not seen anyone since then. I think most of you know where I live, and it is not that hard to get to Munhall Gardens. I would have been here at last month's meeting, but I don't have snow towers on my wheelchair, and Munhall Gardens is a winter wonderland. Snows. So I was wondering if anything has been done to help correct these handicap accessible.
Well, there has been, action hasn't been taken yet, but it has been looked into. Bob, do you want to address that?
To address that to you, Ms. Cap, at the last council meeting, council has authorized me to request qualifications from architects to take a look at the entire municipal building complex, the grounds as well as the building, and we're in the process of doing that, to identify an architect, to identify areas that need repair as well as compliance and to cost that out for us. We're in the process of doing that first. It's a long, convoluted process, but we've taken that step to do that. And hopefully by this time next month, government does not work very fast, but hopefully by this time next month, we'll have an architect that I can recommend to council to retain, to take a look at these issues and to address that. Now, we also are doing it doesn't help your situation at the moment, we are also doing a 5-year capital improvement plan that we hope to have completed by the end of August. That will take a look at not only the municipal complex, but also our roads, our sewers, our parks, our recreation areas, and to develop a plan for the next 5 years for improvements. So we've taken the step to, at least they've authorized me to find an architect to address all those issues.
And when do you think I can see something on paper so that, I mean, talk is cheap, we all know that. I would like to see something, so something more substantial, so that therefore I can feel more comfortable in the fact that this has been marked on.
August, September.
Okay, now I do want you to know, for your information, I have put into a claim against, with the Department of Justice for the ADA. They will be getting in touch with you in the next month or so. They do give time, which I do think from November to March has been some allotted time. And they will be getting in touch with you to follow up with your plans as well. And I
Thank you for
did
the
say
notice.
I wanted to speak on borough issues. I have one more very quick thing. How many of you have sent in your subscriptions for the 2015 MAPS subscription drive? So the other ones, if you plan to send yours in? I would certainly hope so, since you are our borough council, and I would expect our borough council to support the local ambulance. Okay? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
But I would like to be kept apprised of the changes that are going to be made.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Tallman.
Council, I got three questions to ask council. First of all, about this garbage pickup. Who authorized to raise that up $15? That's $60 a year. There's people in this borough that can't afford it on a fixed income, and I want them. And nobody tells me anything about where I'm coming from. You guys know what I do. I want to know who authorized that. The second question I want to ask, where's this money that this guy embezzled out of the borough for $350,000, $400,000? I don't see nothing in the paper about that no more.
Number 3.
And the third question is, last year Lloyd made a comment about the taxes. When I got my taxes for the borough, I didn't pay no attention to it. So I thought that I had enough time to pay it in April, that I got that 2% discount. I looked at it at the beginning of the month. It was supposed to be paid in February. I thought that since the borough went into the black, that was carried over to April, that you could get the same discount in April. Now, another question I got is, when the borough owed me money 2 years ago for a reassessment on my house, I had to wait 4 months for that money, and there been no interest on it. Now I gotta pay the $4. The $4 ain't gonna make me or break me. What's the deal?
Well,
I can address number one. Number one, regarding the increase of the garbage fees, I believe that was number one.
Right,
I'm the one that recommended that to council, and council approved that.
okay, let's stop
Let me
right there.
finish, let me finish. You asked the question.
Go ahead.
2015 budget formulation, we had a number of budget hearings that the public was invited to. We elected not to increase the millage, but I did recommend to increase the garbage fee for 2 reasons. Number one, our cost to collect garbage and the associated residual costs associated with that were increasing. And the last time that the garbage fee was increased was 7 years ago.
Let me ask you this.
So therefore, I'm the one that recommended to council to increase the garbage fee so we can actually pay for the cost of service. Plus, council is still subsidizing it an additional $200,000. That's number one.
Wait, let's stop right there. Who authorized it besides you?
council voted on it.
How many people in council, how many, put their hands up, who
So
voted
it was
for it?
unanimous.
7-0,
7-0.
December
It's
30th.
time to move, it's time to clean the slate. Go ahead, go to the next one.
Well, what was the second issue?
Missing money.
Pardon me? The second issue,
The missing money,
Yeah.
that's currently in the Allegheny County District Attorney's litigation against the former manager. Council is out of that process. It's up to the district attorney to pursue that. From what I understand, the hearing is now scheduled sometime, or the trial is scheduled sometime in early April.
what happens on that deal, is the
I
borough gonna
can't-
get,
I can't tell you that. I don't
all right,
know.
let's get to the third part, the third part, about the taxes.
I can't address that.
Well, who can?
Well, the tax discount still applied.
No, well,
It
I'm
was,
gonna,
it was,
I'm,
it
well,
was
see,
3% for a week, and then, Donna, what was the deadline for the 2% discount?
But it's still in effect.
March 31st is what you.
Yeah, you still have time to get the normal 2% discount.
I'm gonna go pay it tomorrow. Okay, I didn't pay no attention to that bill, because, see, I was under the impression I paid it in April, then I looked at it, I said, wait a minute, I said, I gotta pay it now. So if I pay her tomorrow, I'll get the discount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got
Now, we
one
had
more.
hoped to give at least a 2-week window. We wanted to give a 3-week window for an extra 1% discount, but unfortunately, we have to wait till the county issues the tax duplicate, which is all the records on each individual property, and they were late this year, 2 weeks. So we were kind of at their mercy to get these tax bills out, so that we would have enough operating money to keep the borough going.
All right, the bottom line is, I gotta pay the taxes tomorrow, get the discount.
Yes.
Ain't gonna make me or break me, okay?
Right.
All you
You'll
guys
get
know me.
2%.
Okay, all you guys know me. The fourth question I'm gonna ask you is, this deal about the school board for the teachers, that new contract, is that gonna have anything to do with the, increase in the school taxes?
We can't answer that.
We're not the school board.
Or when's that get in operation?
It'll be June.
Well, they say this year,
The what?
in the paper, is this year it won't affect our current millage.
Well, how about next year?
Well, that's,
What I don't understand, how do they have 4 administrators up here to run one school?
you gotta go to school board meeting.
You have to address that to
That's
the
the
school
problem,
board,
is
sir.
less people at school board meeting than there is at a council meeting.
All right, we deal with it.
All right, Bill, thanks for coming.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, like council to review, minutes of, and
How about
entertain a
public
motion
comment?
to approve the minutes. Motion by Mr. Shields,
How about
second by
public
Mr. Ingles. I have a comment on that. I think, it's item 10, on the bidding, or advertising to bid the
Page 8,
number 3
page 8,
Fireball.
page 8 of your text.
I believe we corrected that from the 90,000 that's stated to a minimum of the appraised value.
Whatever, 121.
121. Yeah, item 10 on page 8. So that
Where's
was
that
the
at?
only correction that I found.
Page 8, number 10.
Yes.
Oh, that's-
So if, Mr. Shields, if you accept that correction to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make my
Correction. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Reports from borough
What
officials.
about comments on the agenda items? Did I miss it?
I missed it.
Okay.
Would you like to make a comment, Mr.
Well,
Barker?
yeah, I wanna make,
Come to the podium and state your name and address.
well, I'm Jim Barca, and I just have a couple questions on the comments. Mrs. Cap, that's a handicap access, there's no intercom there? How did we use it for all these years? I use the elevator because I can't do the steps, and hopefully I won't, but what have we been doing since it's been built?
It's been, it's 18 years.
99.
I'm just curious, I mean, door normal business hours, is there a buzzer that a person can, or is that unlocked during normal business hours?
That used to be unlocked. It used to be.
Well, no, it's like, what is being done right now?
It's unlocked during normal business.
Because I remember coming to a meeting here, the front door was locked, but that,
Pat can address
There,
that.
there was a buzzer that you would hit for the dispatch would open the door.
Okay, what's the hours of that clerk work or whatever?
Varies, 8 to 4.
I know we talked about cover and so when there's meetings.
This isn't an agenda item.
Well, no, that, she brought it up.
It's on the
It's
agenda.
on the agenda.
It's not an agenda.
All I know, it's a sad state.
We're looking into it. We'll get it.
That should be a simple fix, guys. It shouldn't take a year. It's a simple fix. There's handicap access to every building in this country, and I didn't realize that. And you shouldn't be calling
We'll wire a
911.
buzzer into our office. That's a quick fix for now.
Something should be done immediately. Okay? And the other, I got a comment on the garbage, since the gentleman brought it up. The borough should consider in the future, put it in our taxes. You don't have to pay a company to chase the money. You don't have to pay somebody to go after deadbeats. Just put it in as the millage, it's all the same, make everything a lot easier for
Not
people.
all the same when you put it in the village. People who have property, based, your garbage increase would be based on your property value.
I'm just
It's not all the
saying,
same.
we're already paying $200,000
But it wouldn't be the same.
out of the normal
You know, you have
taxes.
a person with a $25,000 house, and they're gonna, that might have 10 kids, versus
But we all
somebody that
take
has a
care of each other.
$300,000 home that puts out 1 can.
Yeah, I just look at all these incidental costs with administrating, we're paying a lawyer to lien people, to sue people.
And then anybody that owns a business and has a commercial building,
Well,
they
they help
get to
us
pay
poor
twice.
people out, that's all.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Because
saying,
they would.
I know
have
West
to-
Mifflin
They
still
have to
does.
contract for private garbage, and they would have to pay an assessment that included garbage.
well, West
on their
Mifflin
building.
still does it. West Mifflin collects their garbage, it's
They're
in their
getting out of
tax.
the trash business. I
Okay,
think.
well, while we're on garbage, a month ago I mentioned about Homestead Duquesne Road. You know, that's only one of our streets. A lot of people say, well, that's a county road. Well, I don't know, I drive every day and it's a filthy pig pen. And I don't know, but there's been some lady up there, and I don't know who she is or anybody knows her. If you get around this borough, you can notice what's going on at Homestead Duquesne Road. I think somebody from the borough needs to find out who she is, and, I mean, she's been there collecting and bagging the garbage.
There was a black guy there the other day.
And maybe that he was helping her out, but I know there was
Okay. I'd like to move on.
well, does anybody know anything about that lady? Are we gonna try to, here's somebody trying to do something good. Huh?
I know there's been a lot of
What part of,
garbage up
what
there
part of
around
Homestead
Bend.
Duquesne Road you talking, Jim?
Christ, she's done the whole thing, clear up from
You talking about Franklin Bend?
St. Elias's, oh, she's down by Franklin Bend now.
And I've seen a lot of wire bags.
Well, I don't know, somebody from the borough should take some initiative here and,
And help them.
yeah.
Jim, if you see her, why don't you find out who she is?
Well,
We'll
I
bring her
just
in here
wanted to make sure that
and
there
thank her.
was some kind of program going on, chain gang or something, and she got their baby. Okay.
Chain gang? She don't have a ball and chain on her.
Well, they used to use the juveniles when they got in trouble. I don't know, we don't do that no more?
It was the cleanup day first.
It's
first
not on the
Saturday of
agenda.
May.
Okay.
Thank you. Motion 4, can you enlighten us on what that's gonna be for the change or the advertisement?
Actually, I think we're gonna strike that. We're gonna discuss it, but I don't think we're gonna have a motion.
So you're gonna discuss it later, can you tell me now a little bit about it, or can I wait
Well,
to discuss it?
There was, some people thought there was some confusion with respect to the way the ordinance read. But I was here at the time, and Bernie signed the ordinance, and we discussed with the manager, who wasn't here, and the solicitor, the intent of what that ordinance said, and is frankly, some people brought up the issue that it said that the only people that have to pay are the people that are serviced. And what we meant by serviced is people who have trash collection. We don't collect for everyone. We don't collect individual residences in the projects. We don't collect for commercial garbage people off, they have to have their own collection. So, but everybody else, every household, every unit has garbage collection, and everybody has to pay. We've never accepted that, we've never exempted anyone from it in the past, and so we really don't need to have a change. Mr. Solicitor, do you want to
Yeah,
comment?
the argument, someone looked at the ordinance, someone complained, and I've heard this for 29 years I've been doing this, in other communities as well, that I have a rental unit that's been unoccupied for 2 years. Why do I have to pay garbage? And it's the same thing, so they got the order, we said everyone pays, occupied or unoccupied, you must pay. They looked at the ordinance, they saw the word serviced, and the argument was made, wait a minute, I'm not serviced. And so we had a discussion, looked at the history of the ordinance, and that's exactly what it was. The word service meant that you're eligible for service, we service these properties. As Mr. Lloyd said, we don't service commercial, we don't service some other properties, they have to get their own service and make arrangements for that. And in fact, we're billed by the collection, or if you would bid out, you're billed by collection, and you're billed regardless if a unit is occupied or not. So we base our costs and calculations on number of units, and this is the way it's done in every town. That you have to pay for garbage whether it's occupied or not because you're eligible for the garbage service. So that's sort of the history, that's the way it's always been interpreted, always been billed. And so there was some discussion about maybe clarifying it, but once we discussed the history of the ordinance, the council seemed to come to a consensus that, well, there isn't a need for clarification. I hope that makes sense.
So we're striking that. I put that on the agenda based on some concerns that I had and some arguments that I've had with some residents and not knowing the history of it. I figured I'd put that on, but we're taking that
Shouldn't be
off.
allowed to go back 10 years.
I have a question on that too then. If I bring out a separate waste company, do I send you a letter stating that I do not want your service?
As a resident?
As a resident?
No.
Only commercials.
Only commercial.
How about commercials with apartments?
Yes.
It's
And you
based
have
on
to-
the number of units.
And you have to provide legal tax with proof that you have a private collection company or you will be billed.
Okay.
And we get that all the time.
But why can they go back 10 years if they make a mistake?
If they've been collecting for 10 years and you're not paying, they're gonna go back 10 years.
And there at one time was a form in the borough that you filled out if the house was vacant due to a death or an estate. There was a form. And then I believe it was probably the guy that's collecting all the extra fees went back and said, hey, it's not in the ordinance. So they stopped doing it. Nobody said nothing to anybody.
As long as I've
And
been here, I don't.
Yes, I'm telling you, get Becky, where, I did it for my parents. But then he chose to send me a bill for 10 years, going back. There gotta be, he's the one making the money over it. And I think that's why it's redundant. You guys all said about if we put it into taxes, we're picking on everybody. That's no different than everybody has to pay. Just put it in the taxes and the problem's gone.
There'll still be collection issues, Jim.
Yeah,
You still have to have a collector, they still have to get paid.
well, they
still
collect
need
it through the
fees to
tax
cover the
collectors.
cost.
That's the tax collector's
Okay.
problem.
But Donna, we're striking that from our,
You shouldn't be able to go back. That's a money-making scheme up there.
Motion
That's all it
6
is.
is gonna be advertised in the newspaper.
yes.
Who's he related to, huh? Roman. I get it.
After we pay motion 7, motion
It is a
7,
scheme.
what will our balance be? Do you know?
This will be part of my manager's report.
Okay. We're just gonna give it a little early.
Excuse me?
You're just gonna give it early, or you want me to wait till the manager's report?
Why don't you wait till the manager?
Okay, we'll do it that way. And then we are gonna have a hearing on the Parks and Recreation, correct?
Before we entertain the adoption of the ordinance.
So I can ask my questions then? Thank you.
Scott, come to the podium.
Scott Stevens. I have a question on motion number 3, which is to appoint $75 account. In previous years, did you do that before for each individual year prior? Or is this just a result of the past couple of years and the deficiencies that happened because of the result of, previously mentioned manager problems?
For 2011, 12, and 13, there were no audits done. And prior to my time, council request proposals from a number of auditing firms, even the one that historically has provided audits to Munhall Borough. And the low quote at that time was Mark Turnley. We quoted $6,000 for each of the years of 11, 12, and 13. We approached Mark again and asked him to give us a quote. He said he would do.
So you didn't have a certified public accountant for 3 years, is what you're saying? You did?
Afterwards, yes.
Afterwards, okay, so.
So they were completed, Mark Turnley completed the general fund audits for 2011, 2012, and 2013, albeit late, they were completed and done, and submitted to DCE.
So that's a normal process, so the borough does hire a certified public accountant every year to do an audit.
We're required to.
Not just,
Or an auditing firm.
not just any firm, they have to have specific qualifications filed with the state of Pennsylvania. They have to have peer review letters in order to do this type of audit.
Yeah, just for like a borough or whatever the case is.
Municipals, and I'll state that for the first time, in 2013, Mark's pretty thorough. And we initially had a qualified audit report as we had for 11 and 12. And after discussions with him in a meeting, we done an unqualified audit report for 2013, which pretty much gives us a clean bill of health, something that we didn't have prior to this year, well, prior to the end of 2014.
I was just looking at this, and nobody wants to see the shortcomings that would happen in the past happen again, where the borough was just like.
Scott, we put numerous controls in place since then. I mean, I sign every check. I have department heads sign off on invoices.
Oh, I'm not trying to put you down or
So,
anything.
no,
yeah.
I'm telling you what we did, and so we put controls in at every step in the process, from the time that materials are purchased, who purchased them, what were they for, people were signing off. I'm looking at it, I reject checks all the time, Harvey signs the check, I sign the check. If I don't have backup, sometimes I don't approve an invoice until I have the proper backup. We found we were paying for things we shouldn't have been paying for. That was stopped.
What goes with that as well, and I'm just gonna add an addendum to it, is as far as the technology part of it, are you able to now adjust the technology, have redundancy for anything that you put data input into, so that it gets lost, or, you know, is it correct?
We have retained a third-party firm called Bookminders that council authorized several months ago, which handles all our checks, writes all the checks, submits them to council for approval, as well as signing, comes up with the year-to-date reports for us. That's independent of the office, so yes, that check and balance is there.
All right, thank you.
We like Bob, but Bob has no signing authority. He doesn't sign any checks, and there's no stamps, okay?
No, that's just a
Good question, Scott, thank you. Anybody else on agenda items? If not, we'll go to reports.
I have a couple of questions on agenda item.
Mr. Brennan,
I'm a resident.
you have the floor. You are a
I
resident.
am. Did we put these out for bid, motion 3 and motion 5?
Motion 3, I was authorized to go out and request proposals. When I got the request from Mr. Curley at 6,000, I knew we were not gonna get anything more competitive than that.
So that's a no.
Yes, that's correct.
And-
I recommended that because we're not getting anything cheaper.
Okay?
To give you perspective on that, the audits were costing us in the neighborhood between $22,000 and $25,000.
I know that.
And that was before the financial problems,
I know that.
okay?
What was your next one?
Was motion 5 put out for bid?
No, it was not. From what I understand, it's a standard agreement with the Steel Valley COG as part of the consent order for particulate matter of air pollution that the COG would provide its member municipalities with street cleaning services certain times of the year. And no, it was not put out for bid.
Okay. And how about Bookminders? Did we put that out for bid?
We put proposals on that, yes.
That was several months ago.
Just double checking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Anybody else? Any other residents? If not, we'll move into the chief's report. Pat?
I'll be brief. 496 calls for the month, resulting in 494 incidents, 42 arrests, 51 citations. February is normally a colder month, and the calls as you can see, dipped down at that time. I had a lady call today, Becky and I were handling this, for a handicap parking sign. We didn't have time to get on the agenda. I had Officer Williams go check it. It's, I'd like to do a little more work on it before I present it to you. So I'm gonna hold that off for next month. I did provide you a list of vehicle mileage that we have. I know there was some talk about police cars at the last meeting, the workshop meeting. I was not able to be here, I was ill. Any questions?
Are you gonna submit something to Bob with regard to mileage on the cars?
You did. I
Yeah, you should have
received it today. I
All right.
I have one right here if anyone wants it. What's the high end of it?
Can you give us the breakdown real quick?
You know, the ball, the ones with the most. M2 mileage 99,200, which is a 2011 Crown Vic. M3, the 2013 Ford Taurus, 57,400. M4, 2007 Crown Vic, which is our old K9 car, 74,500. M5, a 2013 Ford Explorers, mileage 30,000. M6, a 2007 Ford Explorer, listed as a detective vehicle, 146,000 miles. M7, a 2010 Ford Explorer, 48,000 miles. M8 Ford Explorer, 13 as well, 46,000 miles. M10 Ford Explorer, 29,000 miles. M1 2012 Ford pickup, unmarked detective truck, that is 27,786 miles.
And are any of these vehicles have any real big problems right now? I mean, are there any of them, you know, that need to be
we've had
done?
a lot of issues.
Like the detective car, the
The
146,000.
detective car we need to get rid of. One of the other cars we're gonna get rid of, it's either, we normally do a breakdown of first vehicle service. They tell us which vehicle is costing us the most money to run for maintenance. We just got a brand new mechanic in the last week or two, I haven't met him, so we haven't gotten that far. But we're looking to get rid of 2 of the vehicles.
Do we own these or lease these?
We lease them.
Were these all?
No, what we normally do, we lease them, you make 3 yearly payments, 1 payment a year for 3 years, after that the vehicle is yours. That's what's Ford Motor Credit Lease, that's how they do it, instead of paying one lump sum.
Okay, so anything 3 years or older we own?
We own.
So all the 13s we're still leasing, everything else is paid?
We're still in the lease process, yes. As far as I know, I don't know what was done. 13s, yes. They would be
13s are still,
leased.
we have, still in lease.
And I was told we have 11 vehicles. I count 9.
That's all we got.
We only have 9.
We have, well, Sergeant Price has a vehicle assigned to the DEA that we own.
That's 10.
That's 10. That's not
But
listed
we
on.
don't pay for sergeant prices, do we? Is that under the?
We bought that out of the DEA fund.
Oh, okay.
And that's what it's used for, it's used in
How
that
about,
capacity.
how about the Dare car from Century 3?
But we don't own that.
But we have that under our insurance though.
We do carry it under our insurance.
Yeah, so it's 11 there, Councilman.
The Dare car.
The Dare car.
It's still owned by Century 3 Chevrolet, they give us a
They
demo,
wanted it to us for,
keep it for a few, 6 months, 8 months, and they sell it.
Going back to Mr. Price's car, and we used what funds did we use for that?
The Drug Administration seizure fund,
And how can we do that if our cars are a budgeted item? How could we use that money for
it was
that?
in excess of the budget. It was, you cannot use that fund for anything that's budgeted. It has to be over and above cost to the budget. Anything that's, if we're budgeted, say this year we're budgeted 30,000, we spend that 30,000, we need to buy something else. We can use that, once we exceed the 30,000. We've bought computer.
Even if it's already a budgeted
As
item?
long as it's a budgeted item, if the line item has been exhausted, then we can use it. We could not take a budgeted item that's in there every year and remove it because we wanna pay for it out of asset forfeiture funds. That's called sub-planning, you're not allowed to do that. So once you've exhausted that fund, then you can use it to buy what you need.
Because I'm asking you,
Right,
I'm not
I'm
trying to be
explaining.
smart with you,
Right.
I'm trying to be informed.
Right, now, I'll inform you, anything you
Thank
wanna
you.
know.
Thank you.
We bought portable radios out of that, we bought all new computers for the police department out of that. We bought ammunition, when ammunition spiked, started to come back down to normal, but 2 or 3 years ago, the price of ammunition doubled. Our budgeted cost didn't get us what we needed to cover the year, so we ended up buying 2 and 3 times more than we paid for our asset forfeiture funds.
Okay.
Anything else? Not for me, but I'm glad you informed me of that.
Thank you, Pat.
No problem.
We'll move on to the solicitor's report.
Thank you. I've prepared the required advertisement, bid form, bid notice and specifications for the sale of number 3 Firehouse for review by council. This is a process we have to follow. I did leave in there blank the minimum acceptable bid, which I heard was discussed at the beginning of the meeting, so once you approve these forms, but these are prepared in compliance with the Borough Code and the requirements to sell real estate, I can assure you that. Then, of course, you'll need a motion to advertise this for sale and also to fill in the minimum acceptable bid so that the manager can move forward out when and if you're ready to do so. Since the last meeting, there was an inspection by Chester Engineers of the property at 241 Marion Street, which was deemed to be in imminent danger due to its condition. As I indicated at the last meeting, it was necessary in order to emergently raise that structure to have our engineer inspect that, which was done. I received and reviewed the report and cleared that legally to move forward. I don't know where we stand on that.
Where we are, solicitor, is that a private individual has come forward to acquire that property and to reconstruct it.
Oh, that's good news.
Yes, so we're not putting that out for demolition until those papers are submitted.
Okay, well, that's good news. Everything else I have was really executive session, litigation, contract negotiations, things of that nature. That's all I have at this time.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, we'll move to the manager's report.
Manager's report very briefly on pages 11 thereafter on the packet. Question was asked about our financial condition. As you know, council, we're switching our banks from Citizens to First Commonwealth. Within our First Commonwealth account, we have $1,248,121.20. We will be converting a number of accounts that we have in Citizens over to First Commonwealth within the next month to 60 days. We're waiting for some other checks to clear, but in Citizens, we have an account balance of $256,341.86. So we have a cash balance right now against all the bills that will be paid of approximately $1.5 million. And the real estate tax revenues, of course, continue to come in. We do have a tax anticipation note of $800,000 that will need to be repaid to First Commonwealth before the end of this calendar year. Also, just for your information, I believe you already know this, on pages 19, 20, and 21, we have a construction agreement between Munhall Borough and the Campbell Education and Community Foundation that our solicitor has reviewed and recommended some minor changes and have gone back to the foundation for their concurrence to go ahead and to continue the construction of Westfield, which actually really did start today. The Sergeant Electric was out there today to shut down all the power to the electric lights. They will be dismantled and the entire surface will be redone as well as the stands. And we hope to have that completed by sometime in September. But we do have the construction agreement yet to be signed by the foundation and Munhall Borough. Following page 23 and 24 for your information, on March 23rd at the Carnegie Library in Munhall, will be a Upper Mon Valley Basin meeting in relation to the consent order with Alphasan. I'm going to encourage council to attend that. That's at 7 o'clock. That's for a number of municipalities within the basin, which includes Munhall. And on March 24th, I will be attending a recycling and waste meeting with the Department of Environmental Protection regarding source separation of recyclables and other information that may be advantageous to us to get additional money from the state to offset our recycling costs. And that's all I have at this week.
Question for you, Bob.
Yes.
I believe that there was, and this is brought up to me through resident, question about the planning commission meeting. There was a recent planning commission meeting. Do we get notes or do we get the minutes from that agenda meeting?
I received minutes yesterday. Yes, you will, but I turned them over to the code officer for follow-up and to either to confirm or deny what the planning commission came up with. Upon that recommendation to us, I will then give that to council.
Okay, so we'll wait to get them and then we can question on
Yes.
what they've got. Okay, thank you.
I think the solicitor has one comment on the construction agreement.
I do. In conjunction with Bob's report on the construction agreement for the very generous donation improvement project being provided by Campbell Education and Community Foundation, as Bob indicated, I did review the basic construction agreement they provided. I made some recommended changes for protection of the borough, which are highlighted in yellow, and I talked to council about that briefly. It's available for your review. Bob sent that back to the Campbell Foundation. Well, rather than delay this for approval until next month, because we're already starting anyway, it's my recommendation that council vote to approve the agreement subject to the final changes being approved by Campbell and my approval, would be my recommendation, so that it can be signed immediately once we have this finalized, without waiting another month. I think that'd be a good idea.
It'll be in addition to our motions.
It would be.
Our copy's on highlighted, right?
Yeah.
What could you?
Which
No,
one?
I can
sorry.
check mark it, could you tell me?
If you look on page 20,
You know,
now the copy can bring up the highlight. On page 20, number 1,
I can tell you, I have it right here. Number 1, I incorporated the whereas clauses. Number 3 is completely new, I added that. I want the foundation to warrant that, because we don't know the general contractor, they're doing all the hiring, warrant that the contractor has, and this is a typical requirement, the necessary personnel, skill, and capability to do the project, and also warrant that it will obtain a waiver from the contractor to file mechanics lien for our protection, so I added that. And then the next change is number 8. I added, they put in there that they will solely be responsible for our costs associated with the project. I added the words, and will discharge all lawful costs of the project in a timely manner. Of course, they're gonna pay everything. Then in number 10, they had in there that the general contractor will make all reasonable efforts to satisfy a punch list. We have a right to present a punch list to the contractor at the end of the project. But this agreement isn't with the contractor. They're not compelled to comply with this, so I add in there, I said, Campbell Foundation warrants that it will require, because they have the agreement with the contractor, that they will require the general contractor to comply with the punch list. So that's why I added that. And I also said that Campbell will warrant that it will complete the project as described above. We want to make sure it gets finished. Number 11, I added the last sentence. Upon completion of the project, Campbell will donate all improvements to the borough. Number 12, the word reasonably was added in by me. And number 13, I added in that entire provision that the governing body of each party approve the contract at the duly convened meeting. So those are the additions I made for our protection. Certainly don't want to scare them off. I just think these are basic legal provisions for our benefit, which are reasonable, and I wouldn't anticipate any real objection to these, but if there is, I'll certainly address them in a fair manner on our behalf to ensure that this keeps moving.
I did share those comments with the solicitor to the construction team a couple days ago, and I think they meet tomorrow to review a number of items, including this, and I would hope that by Friday, at the latest Monday, they will concur with these additions.
I mean, it's basically, it's an arm's length transaction. This is a very short and simple contract for a project as complicated and as large as this is.
And I was pleased to see that. And nothing more than this is necessary, so we're on the same page.
Just one thing about the Westfield, and this is just something for all of us to think about. I mean, I know it's very early to do, but I just want to throw the seed out to you guys. I think that it's still going to be called William Knight Field, but I think us as a council should work together on maybe a permanent plaque somewhere in thanking Mr. Campbell for his donation. Just a thought.
Sometime down the line, we'll.
Yeah, just a thought right
It's
now.
a little early yet.
It's early yet, but I think that we should be moved in the process when the field is done, that we have a ceremony, which we're going to, I'm sure. But I think we should have a placard thanking Mr. Campbell for his generous
We
donation.
talked about last month having rededication of the whole facility.
Well, we should do that.
We'll
We
have
should
to-
do that.
we'll
But
do it the day
but
Mr.
I think
Campbell's
we
gonna
should
be
have some sort of a plaque honoring him and thanking him. We can come about that later, whatever.
I forgot to mention in my report, the Fleming Walker is doing a lot of manhole projects around town for the sewer authority. We're gonna be closing down Marion Street for upwards of a week. From West Run to Oliver. One block, it's gonna affect two houses. They will be able to exit up, not on the West Run Road. They are gonna have a detour in place, if anyone doesn't know how to get to school. They will have flaggers in place. We met with the guy yesterday. I spoke to him today. He was gonna try to leave one lane open, he's gonna have some big machines in there. He has to go from the roadway all the way down to the creek bed. So there's a lot of shoring that needs to be done, a lot of heavy equipment. So we thought the best course of action would be to close the roadway for, he's thinking 4 to 5 days.
You know when this will be yet, chief?
He's looking to start next week.
Okay.
We met with him yesterday, Bob and myself, Boomer was there. Twice, you were gone for the day, you came in late in the day. I just thought that should have been said here. I had Dan put it on our website today, just so everybody knows.
Okay, good.
Just one thing, Dan, last year we had talked about naming something after the mayor for his many years of service to the borough. Maybe we can look into, instead of calling it like Field 1 and 2 or Field A and B, maybe we can name one of those fields over there, because there are gonna be two separate fields.
You know, Joe, I was thinking about the same thing you're saying. There's some parks out there, like it's called William Gumming Park.
Park,
You
yes.
can call it Ray Butler Field at William Gumming Park, like they do for the.
Like
Maybe-
Field A instead of
We're
Field
gonna
A.
have two fields there. I mean,
Bodner
there's-
Field, that'd be Bodner Field.
Yeah, one, A and B, instead of, we can name it. Yeah, something to think about. And maybe the rec board will be able, to come up with that.
Something at the bottom of the page. Okay, that's a good idea.
Something to think about.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the engineer's report. Lindsay?
Thank you. The solicitor already covered my new update on the demolition of that house. And then, there's been not a lot of movement on the St. Francis School project. We've submitted our stuff and we're just waiting to set up the next meeting. Hopefully we'll get our comments back and be able to finalize the design. So we're waiting on the PennDOT right now. So, that's all I have to report, unless there's any questions.
Do we think that will be done this year? I know, I mean, we've been waiting, and I know it's not you guys.
We're told it would be done this summer, and PennDOT would be letting the bids in our behalf, and we'll be contracting with the contractor, not Munhall. And it's 100% funded by PennDOT. Just let me comment, thanks Lindsay, I forgot that Lindsay, on behalf of Munhall, Councilman Ballas, myself, and Bob Bicey, Public Works Supervisor, attended a utility summit last Thursday downtown for a number of municipalities that surround the city of Pittsburgh. The group's called Connect, that we were there representing Munhall, and there were a number of utilities, the Pennsylvania American Water, Columbia Gas, Peoples Gas, a few other utilities. And it was a pretty good summit, that there were some understandings, both from the municipal side as well as the utility side. And we're gonna keep the conversation going, especially when it comes to street openings. And the next day following that summit, I was buttonholed out in the parking lot by Pennsylvania American Water, that they told us they're gonna be doing one street sometime in 2015. I forget the name of the street, but I passed it on to Mr. Bicey. So we have far enough advance notice when that's gonna be done, so that we can be prepared for that and perhaps get some street paving out of it as well. So it was a good conversation among the municipalities and the utilities. It was the first event that I ever attended in my long tenure in municipal government, and hopefully it will continue.
Yeah, they did talk about the utilities, about a computer program that they all use. It's called Excella?
Excella, yeah.
Excella.
It's $110,000.
Yeah, the only drawback is the price of it. You know, small boroughs like ours can't afford it, but it keeps track of everything.
We're looking to
Yeah,
take a
that's
look at
something-
among the 37 municipalities.
That would be nice.
Okay then, we'll move on to, thank you, Lindsay. We'll move on to the Public Works Supervisor report.
Gave you a copy of last month and this month's report. Only have a few little things. Good prices on lights inside the Public Works garage. The original lights are about 30 years old. I can't get the tubes no more. They don't make them. So the 6 lights will cost about $1,800. I don't know what the labor would be on that. I'm waiting for the price. I don't know what council wants to do with that.
Who would normally put them up?
Electrical contractor.
Yeah, we got some. Stone do that?
These will be LEDs, like 10-year guarantee on them.
Can you get some bids on it,
I
Bob?
can probably get another company bid on it too.
Yeah, get a couple local companies just to do it, and LEDs would be good, save power.
I have
That's
one
probably
there
why
now.
you can't get the other bulbs, right, because they're energy bulbs?
Yeah, they still make them. A couple other little things. Woodville Park is asking for new doors. Some of the doors up on the concession stand. Thought maybe we could bring it up underneath the new parks committee.
Yeah, that's
We
probably.
put new doors until we put some cameras.
Or, actually, the park committee that we have now, Rob, Harvey, they need doors, go up and take a look. We'll make a recommendation until the rec board's.
Have you been up there, Bob?
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 that need our original doors.
The front part or the back part?
On the concession stand.
I don't understand.
Front part, yes. The addition, the doors are good. We put them in,
Right.
they're good. But that double door is all.
Double door.
And the other concession, doors, I'm gonna try to break in it.
Did we ever get a flagpole for them yet?
No.
At the workshop meeting last week, we discussed about the replacement of the backhoe. The one we had probably is not gonna make it for the next couple of months.
Nobody got back to me on that.
I'm sorry?
Nobody got back to me on that.
And Mr. Bicey arranged for someone to come in to assess the condition of that and what the cost of repair would be against what perhaps the cost of replacement would be on the used one. We're waiting for that report. We have not gotten that back yet. I did give a report to council at the workshop that should we need to buy one, we're probably looking at about $75,000 to $90,000. I presented to council at the workshop at that time a potential financing plan, but we're gonna wait for this report before we make a decision.
Bob, what provisions have we made for pothole patching?
But not all week. And, Becky's taking phone calls and they send them up, take care of some.
Are we still using cold patch, right?
Yeah, they're not making much.
Asphalt won't be available for after April 15th or so.
We do encourage people to call if there's a pothole that hasn't been addressed that we may not know about, and we'd like to get them filled. And so call the office, talk to Becky, and she'll give that to Bob. We'll get as many potholes taken care of as we can, all right?
Bob, I have a question on the brick that the utility company removed on Main Street next to Park School. And now there's a hole there, have you seen it? It's probably 2 foot deep, and the brick were there, now they're gone.
I have some.
You have them?
Yeah, I'll take some.
But it's pretty bad,
I'll take
and,
some.
it's pretty extensive. The hole, they put one pole next to the other one.
You didn't take the whole pole out yet.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're gonna do, because the other pole's cut down,
I
right?
fill with some sand for now.
Right. And, I see that we patched some concrete, curb with hole patch.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of the beginning of the end when we start patching concrete curbs with cold patch. So, do you think this summer we can maybe address some of the, Main Street's looking pretty rough. I don't know if anybody realizes it, the initial part of Main Street's 25 years old, redevelopment came in. From Marion up, when they started, it's 1990, that's when the first phase was. And, there's caulking issues, there's, scutcheons on the poles that are bad. Eddie knows, it's worn. It's to the point now it needs major work, all the way up Main Street.
As we discussed in the workshop, I'm gonna put a bunch of you guys in advance on Saturday, and we're gonna jump around and we're gonna look at every road.
Well, you can walk Main Street in about 20 minutes. It's
Old
after
Broadway
the
Lane.
fog,
Make sure we do it.
it's rough. It's
Old
really rough.
Broadway Lane.
And, like the brick, I know the brick at the crosswalk, they've come down where there's brick actually missing at the crosswalk. Because the curb's gone, they've fallen back, so it's gonna be a job.
Crosswalk cement and the rest of the road is blacktop, so that doesn't.
Crosswalk, thanks,
Well, with that, we'd like to move to the fire chief's report. Thank you, Bob. Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President. The fire department, most of you should have the report. We responded to 34 calls last month.
Page 30 and 31.
There were no new injuries. We still have 2 injuries that are ongoing. I can comment on Alex Script. He's recovering nicely. He's home, and his rehab is ongoing. He's looking at 6 to 9 months total recovery time on that. So we're just trying to keep the spirits up. You look at our man hours. You'll see the training hours are up. As we start into this new era, we're going to really push the training. So you'll start to see those numbers really climb. We have not entered into our Bucks County package yet, which will really make the training hours climb. So total man hours, volunteer hours were roughly a little better than 2,000 for the month. We brought a class in, we had UPMC sponsored a class that came in. We held it at Park School. It was active shooter training response to the fire department and EMS, what our roles are in that situation. Chief Campbell was there, a couple other police officers were there. We'd look to do that again somewhere down the road with more presence from the police department. That's ongoing. We're bringing in a class tomorrow, the county sponsoring a class tomorrow, which is going to be held at the Stillwater High School auditorium. It's clandestine drug recognition and what our response is should we run into that meth lab situation. And then next month, we're bringing in another class using the Stillwater High School again. I hope I haven't got approved yet for social media awareness, basically some of the things that we talked about at council, social media policies and all that. We're gonna discuss that in detail. There is a blurb there, information for 214 Marion Street. The only thing that you don't know there is that the fire marshal is gonna be working with the potential new buyer. Still wants to get in there and dig through the rubble. We haven't been able to dig through the rubble. There's so much debris in there. We can't really get in there yet until we start getting some of that stuff out of it. We do want to try and determine what the cause was if we can. So just let you know, if you see the fire marshal's truck up there, that's what it is. He's doing a follow-up. Any questions for the fire department?
I have a question. The fire in West Mifflin up along Homestead Duquesne Road.
Yes.
The whole house that they caught on fire up there. Was any Munhall fire trucks up there? Were you helping fight the fire or back up, or what was your role in that?
Number one's rehab truck was up there. Providing rehab for the firefighters over there.
Because there were several communities there. What's our agreement with West Mifflin then?
We have mutual agreement.
We do.
Sure. We have mutual aid agreement with every town in the Mon Valley, and we work with them on a regular basis. As far as, what West Mifflin's calling to their fires. You know, I don't think about it too much, I worry about Mount Hall and Mount
All right.
fires.
I was just curious,
Yeah, so-
we were there,
Not really.
it was a big fire.
It was a crowd pleaser, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it was a crowd pleaser being with lots of flames and it was great to look at.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was pretty much handled a lot from the outside. Yeah, they just put water on it from the outside, from what I understand. I wasn't there, I don't know, I was home.
It was okay, it was outside.
I think so, I don't know.
Yeah.
It started out pretty good for me.
It was pretty bad.
No, there were not a lot, just one whole rehab truck there.
We're lucky to have you guys there. You guys do a terrific job. Please pass that along to your,
Thank you.
the rest of the fire departments and the guys there.
Speaking of the rehab truck,
Mhm.
it's a brand new truck, correct?
Yes, it is.
Looks pretty impressive. I saw you and, you were with them one night this past week. I don't know where you guys were going, but you were in your vehicle and they were in the rehab truck. And it is an impressive looking vehicle.
Well, it may be impressive looking, but more impressive is the equipment that's on it. That is the impressive part. And what the guys there in that particular station are trained to do with that equipment, that's the very impressive part. And I would recommend that if anybody from council wants to go out and take a look at it, we're happy to show it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report, Ed. We'll go next to code enforcement. Our certified code enforcement officer. David
Page
Cannon.
32 is his report.
You have a copy of my report. There's 5 additional things I need to ask council. One, we need to add a motion to waive the building permit for Stillwell Valley School District. They're putting up a maintenance and storage facility. It's common practice that we waive building permits for any nonprofit organizations. So that needs to be added as a motion.
It's another government entity, it's not no problem.
It's just nonprofit. Second thing, sidewalk openings. Since I started here and prior to me starting here, we never charged for sidewalk openings to the utility companies or private individuals. Our fee schedule says any sidewalk opening we should be charging $175. Should we start charging utility companies and also private individuals? It's on our fee schedule, but like I said, it hasn't been past practice to do it.
We're on a fee schedule, why aren't we charging them?
I'm sorry, it was on the fee schedule, when I started, we never charged for it, I didn't charge.
Okay, well,
We had a
either-
meeting with the,
Yeah.
with the utility companies.
Well,
Should
either
we
we
be
need
charged?
to amend the fee schedule and remove it, or we need, if it's on the fee schedule and keep it there, we need to charge it.
That's
up to
correct.
council.
That's up to
One or the
council
other.
to decide.
I think it's now a very high price to pay.
Right,
You can get a permit opening in the city of Pittsburgh for $25
right, for a sidewalk.
for a sidewalk.
That's only for a public right of way, right?
That's for a sidewalk.
What if you have a sidewalk on the side of your house?
Well, that would be your own personal sidewalk.
Right, so it's only for the public.
It would be for a
right of way.
public sidewalk, correct. You don't need a permit to open up your own sidewalk and dig down to your foundation.
That's correct.
Shouldn't anyway.
Right. Third thing, background checks. I was at a meeting today, a safety meeting. Karen was surprised at our crossing guards.
Karen is referring to our document of risk management that we retain for workers' comp issues. So there's a reference to who that is.
Right, crossing guards. Probably should have background checks.
They have background checks.
Background checks in relation to Act 3334.
They have an NCI's and background check by the PD.
Is that the,
They go to training every, well, they didn't do it last year. They go to training out at Pleasant Hills. We send them out there, as do just about every other municipality in this end of town. And they get their clearances through there. The Act 33, Act 34. There's a new FBI clearance that they're just coming out with this year. They're recommending they get that as well.
Crossing guard, Pat, you've always done a check.
We've always done that.
the reason why I asked is because I still like it based on, we had a meeting on, Robin, myself, and Joe were there.
Or Harvey.
And Harvey, I'm sorry, Harvey. Or, Robin Harvey, I'm sorry. It's required now that coaches do criminal background checks. should the borough also have a copy of the background checks for coaches?
We asked for that.
Right.
At the meeting, we asked for that, we give them to you, you put on the file.
What does it say?
So just to clarify, we discussed this at the work session, and I want to defer to Greg, but I don't think that it's up to us to police associations not affiliated with the borough, but Greg.
Well, they're not borough employees.
No, but they're using borough.
They use our field.
Well, we can ask that they have them, but that's personal information. They're not under our control.
We've actually did ask at the meeting, Greg, you know, they're gonna do them, and they actually agreed to give us, not us, me, I don't want one, I don't even see it. But they asked to have a copy at the borough building of all the background checks for
We
their
should probably
coaches.
go to the police department.
Or the police
Say,
department,
keep
okay,
it
let's
if
have
they-
it
if they do
protected
that.
information,
That's protected, okay, let's have it, because I told them I didn't wanna see them.
Well, it
But have
should,
to
it
brought
should
up.
only go to the police department if they're willing to do it. We can't compel it, but if they're willing to, and we'd like that, that's fine.
Fences down 11th Avenue. The playground fences, they need to be looked at.
Where at?
Down on 11th Avenue,
11th.
playground, they're in pretty bad shape. And the last thing is Troutman and Woodhill Fields need dirt. They usually start baseball at the end of April. I'm not sure, the plan was, hopefully was to use some of the dirt from Westfield and get it to Troutman and Woodhill.
How long are you, how soon are you gonna be taking dirt from here?
I talked to Billy Rogers, he wasn't sure.
What happened to
Because
the
up
big
there,
pile
they
of
want
dirt
us
that was
to-
back there?
I'm sorry, what?
What happened to the big pile of dirt that was back there?
I have dirt back there, but I don't know if it's good enough for infield.
Yeah, that infield's only like 6 years old, that's very good dirt.
I think we have some dirt in the rec budget.
Dave and I already discussed this. We're waiting for the contractors from the Campbell Foundation to move in, and we'll move that dirt. It's not an issue.
Okay. I don't know if we can wait that long, that's the exact thing.
Did you meet with the manager before on these issues? The issues you brought up tonight, did you meet with the manager before tonight?
Well, fences
Because a
down,
lot of those things, that's where they should be done. You and the manager meet, they don't necessarily have to be brought up on the council floor, because they should be done in-house things and done, and that's why I look at it. I don't know if anybody else does that. Dirt, moving dirt, need this, need, I don't know.
They get their Monday meeting. You have a Monday
Sometime
meeting, you
during,
have a-
sometime during the 40 hours you don't work, you can meet on some of these things and
Yeah,
take care of it.
we discussed this past month.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it, Dave?
that's it. Any questions?
Did you guys discuss keeping track of who's opening our streets and how we're gonna arrange that? Because that was brought up at the workshop. And I brought the issue up as to permits being for street opening permits, and our curb paving ordinance is being put back. And I brought this up at the workshop, and I'm wondering if you guys have come up with any game plan as to who's gonna keep track of the street opening permits? Who's gonna, more importantly, gonna pave the streets after they rip them up? Because most of the streets where the utilities are ripped up, and we're not getting them paved. So that's the big question. That's what we really need to be on top of. Not about dirt, it's about paving our streets because they're horrendous.
That was one of the things that was discussed pretty thoroughly at that summit meeting with the utilities, and they know they're behind on it. Some of them had, well, one of them, I don't know if it was the gas or the water, they had a good idea. Putting those little tags in the street, so you have a way of tracking who actually did the repair work. So if 6 months down the road, it starts coming up, then you know, just by looking at the tag, going to your records and saying, okay, tag number 54 is the water company. Okay, then they're the ones responsible, and we call them. I mean, we need something like that to get started, but it's not an overnight process, I know that.
To answer your question, you're correct, we do need to track that, and the code officer will have to keep on top of the utilities to make sure that it's done according to our
Do
code.
you want the code officer to do it, or do you want the street commissioner to do it?
Probably in concert, both of them. But the important thing is actually to pay the permit fee, which I'm not sure that we are consistently doing. We're looking at that.
them off and posting the street of it.
Well, right, I mean,
They
that's
call it
all part of that
emergency.
process.
What's going around, doing like after 2 years?
It's horrible.
Dan and I went to a demonstration of a pothole paving machine, that the car bring that in, who brought that in? Cunningham. And it was down at the waterfront, and I've been down there for, it's about a year now. And those, the few holes that they patched, granted, they aren't on the main road. They've held up unbelievably.
I could get you one for $30,000.
I think that was like 60, it was a trailer type, what was that?
Yeah, that was a pull behind.
Pull behind, and I talked about the COG possibly buying it, and
Yeah,
I'm not
that,
sure.
that didn't go anywhere, but I could get you, I could get you a
But
4-year-old
the-
one for $30,000.
But the pothole they patched, it's like the main road right now, it held up beautiful.
There's a couple
That's
big
what the
ones down
city,
there.
the city ordered one that was supposed to be here, the city of Pittsburgh, and they didn't get it yet.
And
Because they're in demand.
But that's what they use.
it's hot, it was a hot car and hot
Yep.
patch,
They use,
gravel,
they use emulsion E3.
the aggregate was all set,
To
the
mix with
aggregate.
the aggregate, it does it itself, you still need some labor to at least do the shovel down into the
Feeder.
corridor that goes down into the pothole.
Right.
From there it rolls.
The tube, yeah, it was
It's
pretty
it's a
big.
two-man operation. It retails at $57,000, I could get you one for $30,000.
Okay.
Okay. Bob, you'll look into the fences down at the playground, if there's any dangerous conditions, wire them back up or do what needs done. Okay. Okay, we're going to have a public hearing on proposed ordinance 1571, establishing a Munhall Borough Parks and Recreation Board.
Okay, this is the time for a public hearing on a proposed ordinance creating a Parks and Recreation Board, which will be an advisory board of the Borough Council, establishing the number and term of the members and designating duties and powers of the board. Briefly, the board members shall serve for 5-year terms, and they'll be appointed so that all the terms don't expire annually. So there'll be staggered terms. Attempts will be made to have representation from various geographic sections within the borough. There'll be no pay for these positions. It's advisory only to Borough Council. The board shall have powers to identify open space, recreation, park, and trail needs of the borough, plan and supervise recreation programs approved by council, recommend plans, programs, and policies, and advise council. They'll keep minutes, and any funding they need would have to be approved by council. There will be 7 residents of Mount Hall Borough. That's a summary of the ordinance. Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on it? Yes.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Barker, you go first.
No, one of the things discussed at some of the meetings about the park is the maintained cost of I'm talking about Westfield, because that's where this all started, but is the cost to maintain, because with an artificial surface, it's gonna be double what normal field would be. Well, no, I think one of the things that you guys talked about was that recreation board would take care of, seeing that the maintenance and that done, and as far as having a budget to work with, that the borough should consider that the money from the sale of number 3 fire hall be the initial allotment to start that fund, that escrow account. Because it'll end up like Main Street did, they never saved no money, and you can see what we have. And I think there's a lot of concern of what we could end up with if we don't right off the bat take responsibility to maintain it.
Well, that's why we're gonna form a rec board.
Okay, but the problem with that, your ordinance, no matter what they say, council can do what they want.
We still get final approval, do it, right?
That's the way it has to be.
Advisory board.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, that's the way it has to be legally.
Not that, and even in the use of the park, you know, when you have a little lottery thing, is that council's final decision who gets to use it and not
That's
use
up to
it?
council, how much
Okay.
discretion they want to give.
I'm just
them on
asking.
assigning use. That will be up to council. The expenditure of monies, it's gotta come from council. That's the requirement.
Usage, I think the plan is, Jim, to pretty much turn that over to the rec board. I mean,
Right.
Because we're creating it, we want them to do that type of.
As long as that's
And
what
it's
happens.
also not a council thing, people, you know,
but everything in there is still with council, even the
The budget's
smallest
with
decisions.
council, they'll have more power in, for instance, for the rec board, I believe that they will have better opportunities to go out and get grants and funding with a separate rec board from council, and they can go out and, solicit grants and funding as a rec board.
Okay, anyone else? Donna, did you want to?
Yeah. It says the advise Borough Council in the acquisition and development of parks. Are they gonna be the ones telling them, I think we should acquire this piece of land and build a new park?
They can do that.
That's an advisement, they could.
We aren't gonna take any land by eminent domain for a park, are we? So I know we've sold
We
parks.
have no plans to
I
at
know
this point.
I know we sold a playground years ago for sheriff's sale.
But we don't have any plans other than to form the rec.
By that, is that
board at this
deep?
point in time.
Okay, the other thing, undertake recreation and parks task as requested by Borough Council. Would that be the cleanup of them?
We
Or
may
what
ask
type-
them to look at an issue, could be for a lacrosse field, or a place where kids could play lacrosse, or where they could play deck hockey, or we may ask them to work on a specific project and let
Okay.
them develop the parameters for that.
Okay, and it says that the board shall submit an annual report. Who will be doing the annual report for the board?
Whoever the chairman
Board
is.
is the chair,
Oh,
the
secretary.
secretary.
It'll be the chairperson and secretary, and they can select other officers if they choose. They feel that's the appropriate way to run their operation. They'll have that authority.
Okay, and then also it says the board will subject to an audit by the borough auditor annually. Will this be included in when the borough audit's done in the fee, or there'll be an extra fee for that?
That's not mandatory. It's up to Borough Council. It depends what's going on with funds. If they don't spend any money, we don't need to audit anything. So that'll be done on an annual basis to determine if there needs to be an audit there.
Okay, and then also it says how the checks will be made payable to Munhall Borough. Will that go into this fund?
That's up to
This will have
council.
their own bank account for this, or,
No. All money's under the borough bank account.
but it will be itemized discreetly for this?
Probably be
So
under
it's
our-
not used for another line item in the
Be
budget?
rec budget.
It'll be probably in the general fund budget, itemized under recreation.
But there'll always be a recreation summary, so that money isn't used for anything else?
Can't be.
That's up to council. They're not dedicated funds. This doesn't dedicate any money.
Well, if
that has to
somebody
be
wants to
used.
donate money
Donate
to
it,
the Parks
then.
and Recreation, it will be used for Parks and Recreation and not something else,
Well,
not for
if
garbage
it's in that-
days or anything,
In that
correct?
situation, then it probably would be appropriate, but that's a scenario that hasn't happened. We'll address that in the future if it happens.
Okay, and one other thing, there's been some different articles about Munhall having parks in the borough. If they can remember, there is a park on video. Like, that's always been admitted in the newspaper. Maybe, we can, add that to,
I cut the grass there last week.
Franklin Bennett, is that still?
well, no, Vine Street was in the paper, but they always admit video whenever they talk about parks, so I didn't know if we got rid of that park or not. Thank you.
Let me just add to that, thank you.
Anyone?
Let me just add, thank you, Don.
No, I'm talking about on video. They
Has
never-
nothing to do with the Parks and Recreation Board, but it would be something that would be delegated to the Park and Recreation Board. So we're putting in an funding application in partnership with our two neighbors, Homestead and West Homestead and Munhall, putting in a funding application to do a multi-municipal comprehensive park and recreation study and plan among the public parks, among the three municipalities. That is due on April 15th. We won't know if we're funded or not until October. By that time, our Park and Recreation Board will be in place. It's roughly about $90,000, 50% of which would be paid by the state if we're approved. We won't know until October. And then the balance of the 50% would be split among the three municipalities. We would be on the hook for $15,000, which would be reflected in the 2016 budget. That is to do a comprehensive plan of our current public recreation spaces, what improvements need to be made. After we get that study done, which would take the better part of 8 or 9 months, we would then submit another funding application to the Department of Community and to council conservation and natural resources for additional money for any improvements that are needed. That will be all funneled through the Park and Recreation Board to take a look at that and to advise council accordingly for those type of decisions. That's the purpose of the board, to funnel all those things, to take a look at all those things as responsible members of your community, and to recommend it to the board. Council has enough things on their plate that not to be constantly reminded about what's needed in recreation, not to mention potholes, streets, sewers, building, those kind of things. So that board will be our advisory board to council for us to make decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Callen. Anyone else in the public have any questions or comments?
Who's gonna pay for this deal?
What deal?
These parks and recreation deals you're talking about?
There's
That
that-
playground up there where I live up on Vine Street, only thing that does up there is collect leaves. I don't see nobody up there playing.
We can't make the kids play on them.
I understand that. If they don't play on it, get rid of it.
We should put some basketball hoops up there, they play
Yeah,
up there.
you put the basketball hoops up there and you know who comes in and takes it? They take the nets down and they take the banking boards down.
Who?
Who? Well, I'm gonna go down there. I see them walking up the alley
That's
with them.
what we say, guys.
That's common sense. That's playground up there on Vine Street.
I used to play basketball up there.
You used to, so did
We
I.
can talk about this, but I want
I
the
have a question
solicitor
on this
to
as well.
continue with the public hearing,
I have a question on the
which is still
public hearing.
open. Go
Hey,
ahead.
Brandon.
My question number 2, the, whenever possible, statement, of the 7-member board, you know, where are those, how are we gonna divide the borough up? You know, is it gonna be just a hearsay, this area, that area? That's one question I have. You know, if we don't have enough members, and then we get 2 or 3 from one area, and then the future comes back, and they say, well, you guys are taking over.
We talked about this last week, they're gonna make up their own bylaws once they.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Well, there are 12 districts in the borough, so we're gonna look for a representation of the 12 districts. We have 7 people, so, you know, all geographic areas of the
Okay,
borough.
okay, I'm just bringing this up, because I want it to be on the record for that.
If I can address that further, Councilman, we did discuss that, and the intent is to have, as the President said, a fair representation from the different geographic areas of the borough. It was recommended to actually list those particular neighborhoods, and we recommended against that in the event that we don't get any candidates from those neighborhoods, then we're in trouble. So rather than list those neighborhoods, the intent is, and by the way, we will be advertising in the Valley Mirror as well as the Daily News, probably within the next week, for anyone that wishes to be a candidate for consideration for this board, and that they have to list their addresses and where they come from, so the council will make a decision that there will hopefully be a fair representation of the various regional neighborhoods within the borough. We have 0.7 people, we may get 20 letters of interest. That's okay, I would certainly encourage that, but council will make that decision. So, obviously, they need to be a resident of Munhall, have an interest, not necessarily be a coach, not necessarily be in charge of an athletic association. I would argue to the contrary. It should not be those people. It should be regular citizens that look after the welfare of our grounds, safety. Our programming is delegated, and the finances to maintain our fields and future capital improvements.
And I will, I guess, as part of the hearing, Bill, I'll address the comment that you made. One of the duties of the rec board, it's a non-paid board. Okay, so it's not gonna cost the borough anything to operate this board. But we did seek a grant for Parks and Recreation, which they will have something to do with once it's formed. Bob applied for a grant for the borough, for the 3 municipalities, for $90,000, of which the state will pay half. And then the balance will be split between the three boroughs to study this. But as part of that, having a multi-municipal recreation board opens the door up for us to get more money from the state through grants. We've applied for more grants this year and have more grants pending than I ever remember in the history of the borough, thanks to Bob and his knowledge of what's available out there from the state. In addition, the rec board's going to be able to go out to private corporations and foundations, and putting together a comprehensive plan that's well thought out by community individuals and endorsed by the council, hopefully will allow us to get state money and foundation money that we've never gotten before. We did get a little bit a few years ago for parks, but nothing in the way that we should have been able to get. So it does take the burden off the taxpayers whenever you have a well thought out, well-planned program for recreation, and you can get these funds instead of just having the taxpayers fund 100%. So, and also, you know, you said no one does this up there at Vine Street. Well, you know what, maybe that should be a dog park. I mean, we've had people come here to want to have a dog park.
That's the thing, that's the thing, California.
Ain't no, there better not be no dog park up there.
That's what they do.
Well, see, wait a minute, Bill, you know what? The town's going to the dogs. You don't want the kids, you don't want the dogs, but that's part of what the board is going to do, is try to match the needs of people in a particular area and what they want to the types of recreation.
The bottom line, Lloyd, what happens if you get these grants, you get grants for $90,000, and it comes out, say, we're down 110, who comes up with the other amount of money? Does it come on the taxpayers or where?
Well, you don't
Huh?
spend it,
That's
you
not
don't
how
have
it
it.
works.
How does it work?
You don't have it, you don't spend it.
This is a planning grant. We're not gonna spend money that we don't have. But at any rate.
I'm gonna take your word for
I
it,
have
Lloyd.
one more question.
Oh,
You guys been.
he's running here.
Got me on. Issue number 1, board members shall serve terms of 5 years, and then they're going to be changed out every 2 years or whatnot. I just wanted to make the point that I thought that 5 years was a little too long.
We talked about that last week, too.
Yeah. This is a public hearing.
You bring it back up again.
I'm bringing it up.
But we talked about it.
And
We're
I'm allowed
lucky,
to
we're
bring it
lucky
up.
if we have people that'll stay 5 years. If we have
Are you
people that'll
correcting
join.
me for speaking?
No, I'm just saying, we talked about it last week. We talked about 5 years as a long term.
It's a
but
public
We're
hearing,
lucky,
Mr. Shields.
yeah,
We're all allowed to talk.
we're both speaking on it. But if you have someone lucky enough to stay 5 years, that would be great. But chances are the people you'll have stay a year or two, break off, so 5 years isn't that long of a term, I believe.
And
I believe it's too long of a term.
Okay, I know, and I disagree with you.
I'm entitled to an opinion that's not yours.
All right,
Wait a minute,
I know you
wait a
have-
minute.
Mr. Brown, I know you have a different audience tonight, so I understand.
There are people here.
Right. you have a
The
different
last
audi-
meeting, there were 2 people.
You have a different audience than last week, I understand.
Are you bickering?
No.
Because it sounds like you're bickering.
You're correcting me
I
for
have
asking
2
me
kids,
something.
and I know what bickering sounds like.
Hopefully when they do make their own bylaws up in this board too, everyone. Now, there are some bylaws, you know, that if you miss two meetings or 3 consecutive meetings, you're out, you know? And then some of those 5 years will not be, that was discussed.
You're not allowed to talk.
Yeah, you can throw it up.
You didn't like the answer from last week, I'm sorry.
No,
I think it's public.
I just have one question to his
Different
thing.
audience, I understand it.
It is hard, because right now, I think we have 2 vacancies on the planning commission. It's harder than, it's not as easy as you think to get people to come and do it. The 5 years is probably not, because people won't even stay that long.
There'll be a turn.
I'm just,
You never know, it's a new thing. You never know. But everybody's entitled to their opinion.
council can change and whack the board, and everybody, you know, I mean, it's just 5 years.
All right, thank you for the public participation. That concludes the hearing.
Okay, moving on to items for consideration. Motion number 1.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1571, establishing a Munhall Borough Parks and Recreation Board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Falls, second by Mr. Fallis. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I vote no with the reasoning that I feel that there are things that should have been adopted that weren't. I am for the board, but I think there should be things that should have been brought differently, so I vote no.
For the board, excuse me, you're for the board, but you're voting no, is that it?
Correct.
Okay.
I am for the board.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask anybody from 18 to 80 to, 18 to 80 to apply for this board, too. We want all diverse, all ages, 18 to 80.
If you're over 80, you can't apply?
Whatever. Motion number 2. Motion to appoint Stephen Kavasik as Munhall Borough's business representative to the Steel Valley Enterprise Zone Board of Directors.
Motion by Mr. Engel, second by Mr. Shields.
He attended the meeting on Monday night. He's already on board.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously.
Number 3, motion to appoint Mark Turley, CPA, to conduct and complete the 2014 general fund audit at the quoted price of $6,000.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Falls, second by Mr. Engels. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No, I oppose no. We didn't put
Okay,
this out
6
for
to
bid.
1, the motion carries.
Should have been brought out to bid.
Number 4, as I understand, is off the table, is that correct?
5 to 1, I mistake, correct? Yes, we tabled that.
Number 5, motion to enter into an agreement with the Steel Valley Council of Governments for street cleaning services at $75 an hour or $600 today, per day, at dates and times agreeable to Munhall Borough.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fallis, second by Mr. Falls. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, this 75 an hour, 600 a day, that's coming from who to who?
That's us paying the COG.
We're paying for that.
This is a regional price that they give to all the COG members.
But we have to get this done.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Have you seen what that thing's done?
We've been talking.
I know, okay.
Did we put it out for bid?
It's called.
No.
We didn't do it last year.
We're a member of the COG.
I know we are. Just because they say it's a good price, is it a good price?
Did we do this last year?
We don't know.
Players this week.
Bob, well, I know this, that we have backdoor service, when they come in and suck out the catch basins, okay, which is similar kind of work. They got a machine that costs X number of dollars an hour. It's $120 an hour with a 4-hour minimum, is it not? So comparatively, this is relatively cheap compared to backdoor service.
Or you wanna compare service?
How many days will we need this service? Is this a one-time deal? What is it?
We do it, I believe, twice a year.
A couple times a year, we have yet.
Twice a
That's
year?
all it is, twice a year.
Twice a year?
They don't keep good.
To stay in compliance with the Clean Water Act, we're required to provide this service and have these leaks picked up. And that's what this
This
is.
is reporting does, we have to report this being there, chapter 94 annual report, this is being done. We're actually verify with the manager that it's, when you have to report, that's part of their compliance as well.
Should the motion state no more than 2 days then? Because the
No, it's not
$600,
necessarily 2 days.
Right.
It's 2 times a year.
Right.
It may take them.
no more than 2 times a year then, should that be in the motion?
No, because it says times agreeable to Munhall Borough. That's gonna, however long it takes
It may
between,
take 2 weeks, it may take 10 days, it may take 14 days. They don't-
whatever it takes to cover all that area that's in the required zone, which is
How long does it
27
usually take?
Might take 2 Fridays.
So it's only 2, it's
4 days.
4 days, okay.
Here's a copy of the agreement on page 42, 43, and 44. Your packet. This has been going on for quite some time. That's part of the consent order.
Failure to do this results in fines.
Right.
I understand. My question was, you don't get much for that money.
You don't.
My question is, do we put it out for bid and get prices from anyone else?
It's through the call.
No, we didn't.
We don't have to go through COG to do this.
You remember?
Well, under $20,000, I mean, that's state law, it doesn't have to be out for bid, right? Is it $20,000?
Correct. $19,000.
$19,000, right.
Okay.
19.5, it doesn't have
You
to.
don't have to bid it, period, because it's called. No matter what the price is, you didn't have to bid it because it's another governmental entity.
Right.
Did you hear that, Mr. Brennan?
I heard.
Old Bradley
I'm
Lane.
glad, I hope everyone out there, did everyone hear that out there?
What?
We don't have to put it out for bid, it's called.
Well, we didn't do it last year, I can't understand why.
Who we required to have this done by? Who's requiring us that?
The EPA, under the Clean Water Act.
So are we gonna
subject
get
to
fined
fines.
for not doing
It's
it
cheap.
last year?
Yes.
It is cheap. Somebody has to make sure. they-
My point is, someone needs to make the effort to look at what we're spending.
To make
Yeah,
sure.
As
to
the
make sure it's in our
finance
best
chairman, it's a
value.
question to ask, why are we spending this money in a certain way? And are we getting prices on anything with everything we do here, guys?
But other years, council
That's
talked
my
about
point.
how it all it did was stir the
Hold on.
dust around.
That's all it does too.
We have a motion, we have a second, and we have discussion. I'd like to move forward and take a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Mr. Brennan? Motion carries 5-1.
Number 6, motion to authorize manager to advertise for 5 summer youth employment positions for the Public Works Department at $8 an hour and no benefits.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ingles, second by Mr. Fox. Discussion on the motion?
How would they be used?
Are they gonna put it out?
Cutting grass.
Cutting grass mainly,
Not those 36 lots now,
cutting grass?
it's 32.
How they gonna hire these
Like 100,
Huh?
like 100 watts.
I think that needs to be addressed.
How they gonna hire them? Are they gonna put this on the
Any other
application?
discussion on the motion?
What?
All those in favor of, oh, Joe?
Are we gonna advertise? I mean, we're
Yeah,
gonna
that's the
advertise
motion is to
that.
advertise.
Motion is to advertise.
Is there a,
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
age on this?
Well, they would have to be a minimum of 16 years old, and high school, college is what we traditionally have had. And it's only for 3 months, part-time, no benefits.
Is there a residency requirement?
I would say so.
This will be starting
I would
sometime in
school
May.
says-
School gets out, yeah.
College kids
Usually
get out
for
earlier, we can
Memorial
start in
Day,
May,
Labor
right?
Day.
They'll have staggered starting times.
Yeah, I think we did start some later, that way it went later, this went later.
College kid gets out earlier than a high school kid.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Before I get into the finances, there were some proposals to submit some motions.
Mr. Cannon.
Yeah, I have it here.
Okay, the other one we're going to add, this is in relation to the West Field construction and the proposal that the solicitor has submitted on our behalf to the construction team. And that is to approve the construction agreement for final review by our solicitor. Subject to final review by our solicitor on our behalf.
Somebody make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Ballas, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Ingles. Discussion on the motion? We discussed it earlier.
Yes.
Greg made some changes. We don't wanna hold them up. We're gonna send it up to them with the changes. If they agree to them all, we move forward. Okay? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously.
The other one that's not on the list, but that was suggested in our conversation, motion to waive the permit fee for Steel Valley School District for the construction of its maintenance shed.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ballas.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fox. Discussion on the motion. This was the building they're gonna build to house their maintenance and trucks.
Is it built?
It's already started.
It started, yeah.
Yeah. Kinda like to ask where we started.
Does it comply with all the codes?
Yes.
Okay.
We've done that before. The building starts, then we issue permits later.
He still needs a building
Okay.
permit, the fees, right?
All those in favor of the motion signify
Comment
by
on the
saying aye.
Comment on the motion?
No, you don't get.
I thought it's a new motion, it wasn't on here for us to
Oh,
comment.
you're right,
Yeah.
Donna, I sit corrected.
Well, thank you. Have we done this whenever they did the additions to the schools?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a comment. They still need to get issued a building permit. The fee is just waived.
Correct.
Because the building permit is to do with conformity.
The motion is to waive the fee.
The fee, okay, at the beginning, that's all we want to make sure.
One question.
But they shouldn't have started construction until they had a building.
Other people do.
Correct. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion 7, which is now 10. Motion to pay the bills for period February 19, 2015 through March 18, 2015, as in the monthly bill list summarized as follows, and council does have it in the report, the bill list. Administration, $35,045.76. Police, $28,279.80. Fire, $31,057.27. Health and sanitation, $13,337.18. Public Works, $94,086.99. Recreation, $6,794.92. Miscellaneous, $2,145.86, for a grand total for that period, $210,747.19.
Motion by Mr. Engel. Second by Mr. Foss. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Number 11, motion to approve payroll for the period of February 26, 2015 through March 12, 2015 as follows. February 26, 2015, $134,408.98. March 12th of 2015, $139,548.36, for a grand total of $273,957.34.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Powell, second by Mr. Fall. Discussion on paying the payroll. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion's unanimous. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I need you to sign some things, maybe from last year.
Smooth.
Joe, whoever says your name,
Everything's fine. Hey, that's cheap. The problem is, somebody just has to make sure. Hey, Brendan. Hey, Brendan.
Yeah, I moved
That way, whatever we do, it just takes the
Or shoot him, just shoot him.
That way the county can change.
No, I'm gonna tell you, I get people watching.
And you said you contract